All right, stand by. Going live in a minute. All right, give me 1 second. I'm trying to solve one thing, and then we can get this party started. For some reason, I can't. It says I'm live, but I don't really see myself. I don't know why. So we gonna see. Hold on, maybe it's taking longer than I thought. Let's see. Let's see. All right, I'm supposed to be live somewhere. I'm supposed to be live somewhere. So once I figure that out, we can get started. It says I'm live, but it has me on private. It has me on private. I don't know why. And I don't really want it on private. So let's figure that out. But I haven't done YouTube live in a minute, so that's why you see these problems. I would thought I would have saw me by now, but as of right now, I don't. I should pop up somewhere. I should pop up somewhere. Nope. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Maybe I need to do it that way. Okay. Let me see if that got it. That might have got it. Ah, there you go. All right. Problem solved. Problem solved. Problem solved. All right. So now we can do this dance. Now we can do this dance. All right. Let's get this party started. Hey, what's going on, fight fans? Hey, this is Coach D, the Wild Man, coming at you again with another episode of Coach D Media. Now, you know I do a Coach D Media. I talk about all things combat sports related, from the highs to the lows. All right. That's it. We're going to go ahead and get into it. So, we got to have a conversation, y'all. We got to have a conversation. I'm going to do a recap about UFC 319s, the good, the bad, and the ugly, man. We got we got a lot of miscommunication going on that I definitely want to address because yeah, we got to address it. We got to address it. Okay, I'm good here. There you go. It has to be addressed. So everything looks good. It looks like I'm showing up okay, and that's what I want to make sure on. So you can hear me, you can see me. All right. If the audio is not good, let me know and I'll make the adjustments. But in the background, it sounds like it's pretty good. So chime in if you're not hearing me good like you should. If I need to turn it up a little bit, I will. All right. But for the most part, it looks like everybody can hear me okay. All right. So I'm trying something new. I haven't went live in a minute, so I figure I'll go ahead and get back to it. So we can talk about DDP had one job. UFC 319 recap, boring, right? So yeah, we're gonna have to fix all that, man. We're gonna have to fix all that. All right. So what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna go ahead and just do a recap on everything that went down, right? That I saw, that I liked, that could be worked on, could be adjusted, and we can go kick it for about an hour. I'm gonna try to go for about an hour, but we'll see. You know me. If after I run out of steam, I just run out of steam. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. So UFC 319 was actually a pretty good card, right? The hype was based around freaking DDP and Hamzat. So I think the rest of the card was overlooked, but it was actually a pretty good card, man. I gotta give it its props, man. The card did pretty good. All right, I'm not even gonna front and say that it wasn't. It was pretty good, right? So let's go ahead and break it down. That's why I'm just testing everything while we're talking, and so far everything looks good, right? Looks like I'm a go. If you guys see anything different, just go ahead and chime in. So let's go ahead and knock this out. So let's talk about the first fight. All right, the first fight was Tim Elliott versus Kai Ashurka, if I'm saying his last name right. Right, and I thought that was a good fight. And I didn't even know Tim Elliott was still competing, man. I thought he had pretty much, you know, put up the gloves and stuff and called it a wrap. But nah, he was competing. I was like, okay, I missed that, man. I missed all of that, right? And Tim Elliott's style of quick foot movement and all that, kind of get in and get out type of style. I didn't realize he was still doing that at that age, man. But his footwork looked good. He looked like he can get the job done, and he was handling his business, right? So I had no complaints, right? So I'm just gonna chat to people as I do this. So if you see me look down, that's me. That's me typing some stuff because yeah, I'm getting back to it. So Tim Elliott showed me that he's still in the game, man. That he is still in the game. He ain't wrapping it up. I think he's now in there for the longest win streak, if I'm not mistaken. So I got a double. Not the longest, or he may be tied for win streak. I know he hit the record books. So that's what's up. So Tim Elliott is still in the game, right? He got a rear naked choke, man. I like look at the old guard still doing their daggone thing, a la freaking all the veterans that stayed in the game with 30, 40 fights. That's saying something. That's saying something. Like Cabo Cerrone, like 40 fights. Guys like that who just stick around. Win some, lose some, but got that high fight record, man. That's hard to do nowadays. So All right, let's continue. So here's the fight that kind of shocked me. I was like, okay, I thought this was gonna be a way better fight than it ended up being. Um, Jarrett versus MVP. I still messed up Jared's last name, so I'm not even gonna say it. Kamari, however you want to say his last name, right? I was expecting that to be more of a dog fight. I kind of keep forgetting how good MVP is, considering how old he is, right? But he put on a clinic against Jared. I was like, God, dog, right? Because I thought Jared was going to be stronger than MVP. I thought he was going to be able to just, handle his business, go ahead and put this fight on him, go ahead and whoop his butt, right? And that's going to be the end of it, man. He just make it a dog fight, and I was gonna say kind of the younger fighter would win, but I wasn't sure how young Jarrett was compared to MVP. That's the part I did miss. But man, did I get that wrong? God dang, MVP was just wearing Jarrett out, man. Overhead rights, knocking him down. I think Jarrett was a little bit hesitant because of MVP style, man, that he couldn't quite get, a handle on it, right? And when MVP threw Jarrett to the ground like he was nothing, I was like, oh, okay, all right. I'm glad I didn't bet on that, boy, because I was gonna put even money on that one, man. But MVP just made Jarrett look like he wasn't so close to his game, man. There was nothing he could do. I was like, crap. All right, so we definitely gotta figure that out. We definitely gotta figure that out, cause yeah, MVP is the guy, man. The transition from Bellator, or PFL or Bellator, one or the other, into the UFC, and still maintain his status against UFC competition, and beating a guy like Jarrett. Yeah, ain't nothing I can say about that, man. Ain't nothing I can say about that. I said, God, dog. I said, okay, he doing his daggone thing, man. He is doing his daggone thing. All right, so yeah, I was shocked by that one. Yeah, I was shocked by that one. I had that all the way wrong, all the way wrong. So shout out to MVP, man. He looked like he still got it, man. He still got it. I was like, oh shoot, okay. Now from this point on, the excitement jumps all the way up, all the way up. So now I'm gonna start talking a little bit more mess because yeah, it got interesting real quick with these fights. Okay, so the third fight was Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates, right? The hype was all on Carlos, right? Carlos is like 6'1" or 6 foot, lanky, got a long reach. I was like, and Neal was shorter. I was like, how was Jeff gonna get in? How was Neal gonna get in? Jeff Neal. How was Jeff gonna get in? Right? So I was like, this may be rough for Jeff, and it ended up being rough for Jeff, but not in the way I thought. Not in the way I thought. Right? Jeff was able to get in, get his shots off. He was getting clean shots in on Carlos. I said, okay, no, this is gonna be a dogfight. This is gonna be a dogfight, right? So I was pretty comfortable that that Jeff was gonna be able to make a go of this. That this may end up being a dogfight for all 2 to 3 rounds. So I thought, right? So the first half, I think Carlos was kind of feeling Jeff out, just kind of see what he can and cannot do, right? See the fight him openings, throw them shots, and see what was up. I was like, okay, yeah, this ain't gonna be what I thought. Jeff was getting the shots off. Carlos was coming back. Carlos was starting slower than Jeff in the beginning. So Jeff was looking like he was getting off. So I was like, yeah, man, Jeff might be able to pull this off. He was saying, look, I think I can knock, because in his post-fight interview, he says, I'm not worried. I mean, I think I can knock Carlos out, right? I think the hype ain't like all like that. I'm like, all right, well, yeah, okay, we can see that because I know Jeff was good, man. Going into the second half of the first round, Carlos started getting his shots off a little bit better, started looking a little more sharper, started to throw a little more kicks. I was like, all right, he getting ready to start mixing it up. He ready to start mixing it up, right? Shoot. Jeff stepped in a little bit too much, trying to go for that shot, and Carlos gave him that spinning elbow. I was like, God, dog. You know how you see all the watch parties with the oh my God moments, all that kind of good stuff? Yeah, that was me. As old as my ass is, I didn't think I was gonna be like that, but dang if I wasn't. Dang if I wasn't. I was like, okay, right? He in the game. Daggone Carlos was in the game. I wasn't expecting that at all. At to the all. So that was good, man. That was good. I was like, okay, Carlos is the real deal. Carlos is gonna be a handful for a whole bunch of people. For a whole bunch of people. I could see why the hype was on him. Cause I was like, I don't know, man. There's a kind of lot of hype on Carlos. I don't think he's gonna get down like that. Right? So I said, maybe there's just a UFC and how they hype up, how they pick the fighter they want to hype, whether he's that good or not. No. Carlos that good. Right? And he's part of that nerd squad. There's a new group of fighters. I don't know how new they are. That may be wrong, but they call the nerd squad or whatever they call. Right? A whole bunch of glasses wearing killers that will beat the dog shit out you. Right? And that is exactly what happened in this fight. Once Carlos got his rhythm, it was a wrap. It was a mother effing wrap. I like, okay, man, okay. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I was like, God dog it. God dog it. So that was my take on that one. That was a good start to where we were going. That was a good start to where we were going. I was like, man, yeah, I like that. That was a good fight. That was a good fight. I don't got nothing bad to say about that fight. Carlos Pratt is a real deal, right? Elbows seem to be the game changer, man. Seems to be the game changer. You go ahead and get caught slipping, elbow coming, and then it is a wrap, right? So yeah, I was all over that fight. I really liked it, right? It did exactly what it was supposed to do, right? And I got no complaints, man. I got no complaints at all. So like I said, I'm just typing this stuff in as I go, right? So if you see me look down, that's me typing some stuff to figure it out. Because like I said, hey, doing the live chat, one-man band. So it is what it is. So yeah, I was excited about that. I was very excited about that. So now we'll see what happens next, man. Now we'll see what happens next with Carlos. Right? He gonna be the guy. He gonna be the guy. I think he gonna be hard to stop. He came as advertised. As advertised. So yeah, give me 1 second. Doing typing something in. I'll be back to it. But yeah, the next fight is gonna be the one I want to talk about. That's definitely the one I want to talk about. So yeah, it is what it is. So almost done. But y'all tell me what y'all think, man. Chime in and let me know. Let me know. All right. All right, let's get back to it. I just need to share something right quick. All right, good to go. Okay, so all right, back to it. So the next fight, LeRon Murphy versus Aaron Pico, right? That's really the fight outside of the main event worth talking about. Okay? And here's why I say that. It's because the US, like I said before, you always hear me say UFC is a business. UFC is a business. It's their job to sell tickets, sell out venues, and make money. Hey, that's their job. That's their job to sell tickets and make money. So they're gonna hype up who they think their next star gonna be. Right? That's why you hear me talk about a lot of fighters with 5, 6, 7 fight win streaks, up to 12 fight win streaks, still don't get a main event, still don't get a title shot, right? Maybe get a co-main, maybe get a feature, or just maybe be on the main card, but you don't see them get title shots. The rankings mean nothing. The rankings mean nothing. Fighters can come from other promotions, sign with the UFC, and get top spot. Mainly because they were popular going in. They were already popular, right? And apparently that's Aaron Pico. Even I think his record was 14-4, something like that. It wasn't like he was an undefeated fighter. It's not like he was an undefeated fighter coming into the UFC, right? So therefore, I really couldn't say that much, right? Of what they were looking for with him, right? Because they didn't slow roll him. They gave him a main event, and they gave him a main event on a guy who was already on a run, right? Murphy was on his own run. So I was like, why would you take away Murphy's run and make him the guy that's going to have to, right, that Pico is going to make his name off of. That's what I didn't like, right? They could have gave him anybody else but LeRon Murphy, right? Because Murphy was doing his daggone thing. He was having great fights. He was 6-0, undefeated. He had his spot. That co-main should have been LeRon Murphy's against somebody else. Aaron Pico should have had his debut maybe as the feature, right? And then the next fight be a co-main, depending on how he do in that fight. Then be the co-main against somebody else, or maybe freaking LeRon after that, right? But make it so both those guys can have their own individual run, right? They can have their own individual success. Why take that success away from somebody else? That's what I didn't get. All right, some always somebody got to win and somebody got to lose. That's how it goes in this sport, man. Somebody got to win and somebody got to daggone lose. So when you take that away from an up and coming fighter, what does that say, right? And that came up in a lot of the press interviews. Why do you think they were talking about why you, right? Why Aaron's Pico debut was against you in a co-main when you were on this tear. So the questions were being asked. It's not like they weren't asking the questions, right? They didn't ask Dana White. They was getting this to get Murphy's thoughts. But like I said, Murphy handled it with stride. He goes, look, man, I'm ready for this game. This is a good chance for me to show people my skills, show what I can do, even though I was already doing it, right? He's a pretty popular fighter in his market. I can't remember if it was Ireland, Australia. I can't remember exactly where he was from, but right, he's already a popular fighter. He's got his share of fans. He's a good prospect to build off of. You didn't have to put him against somebody that you was trying to make a name for already. You could have let these guys have separate roads and see if they meet at the top. You didn't have to give the top out the gate. But that UFC karma is a mother effer. That UFC karma is a mother effer. It will check your A quick, quick. Now, don't get me wrong. Aaron Pico was strong. Aaron Pico was throwing them daggone shots to the body. They even asked Murphy, okay, was you feeling them shots? He was like, yeah, man, them things stung a little bit. But he handled it with stride, man. He weathered the early storm of Aaron. I think they both had a lot of the bright light hype nervousness going on because Murphy looked like he was kind of nervous a little bit too. That's why he was taking more shots than he normally would. He wasn't really getting out the way. He was going back in the cage. He was turtling up, weathering the storm early, right? And I ain't gonna say Aaron didn't look clean. Aaron looked clean. Aaron looked like, okay, I know why they picked him. I know why they picked him, right? And a lot of guys that was chiming in to say, hey, they had Pico on this, right? I'm like, all right, what's it, right? But I hate the business of the sport where you take away guys' opportunities to be great, right? Because you pick somebody else. The UFC and Dana White picked Pico to be the star in the main event, not Murphy, because it was a debut. Out the gate, cold man. Maybe I can't remember. I'm not sure where Pico was from, but wherever Pico was from, that's the market they was looking for. But Murphy on a 6-fight win streak, already doing good, already got a build up market. Apparently, he's a fan favorite, right? People liked him. So what? I don't get what you're hedging your belts. I guess you get it either way. Right, you get what you want either way out of either one that you pick. I don't know. That kind of bugged me a little bit. That kind of bugged me a little bit. So, right, but it is what it is. It is what it is, right? Because at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, the UFC karma, the MMA gods spoke. The MMA gods spoke for Leron Murphy because he got a highlight, spectacular KO that he deserved to get. Like I said, it go, you ain't gonna make a name off me. You know the old head says, hey, mother effer, you ain't gonna make a name off me now. Right? You need to pick somebody else for that foolishness. You are not going to make a name off me. And that's what happened. That spinning elbow Murphy put on Pico was like, oh shit. Okay, they ain't playing here. They ain't playing here. I was like, God dog it. Pico out cold. Sleep cold. If you needed to put a stamp on somebody need to take a L and prove why I deserve to be here, that's what happened with Murphy and Pico. That's what happened. He put the shit with that flying elbow, not flying elbow, spinning elbow on Aaron. Hey, it is what it is, man. We can say what we want to say. We can talk all the noise we want to talk, right? We can make all the excuses we want to make, right? But everybody had Aaron Pico as their boy. That was going to be the new next big thing. That was going to guy that's going to set the tone. That was the guy that was going to be the new one to get it all done. Leron Murphy says, F all that. Spinning elbow KO knockout. Was it the first round? That was either the first or second round. No, I want to say the first. All right, hell, let me see if I can find that right quick. Give me a second. Let me see when that fight will stop. I really want to say the first round. Let me see if they tell me. KO knockout, first round. God, 2 elbows from Carlos and Murphy, both in the first round. That gotta suck. So Jeff got KO'd, and 4 minutes 59 seconds of the first round. He was 1 second away of surviving the first round. That sucks. But when he went down, he was like, he didn't turtle up. He was in no defense position to go, I'm good. The ref had to stop it. So I don't say it was a bad stoppage on the ref, even though it was 1 second. I'm sure he didn't know. He might have known because I'm sure the 10-second clapper had kicked. But still, when you're not actively defending yourself, other shit can come, and the ref was just doing his job. Normally, I'm not on the ref side, but I can see how they stopped it with 1 second left in this particular fight, right? But freaking Murphy, it was 3 minutes 21 seconds of the first round, right? But Aaron Pico was asleep. There were no mistakes on that one. Nobody was confused on that one. Nobody was guessing on that one, right? Aaron Pico was out cold. Sleep, gone, done. Hype train finished in the first round, right? The MMA guys aren't playing. The MMA guys not trying to hear none of it. None of it. So, at the end of the day, Aaron Pico has to go back to the drawing board. He's already in UFC. He's already a popular fighter. I'm not even saying he ain't going to get another shot to do what he want to do. But the fact is, on his debuts, he got a co-main, which means he already getting paid big money. When you in the main co-main, even feature, right? But mainly the co-main and the main are designed for title shots and high-level fights, right? When you're in the co-main, that means you are selling the fight as much as the main event, right? Sometimes even more depending on the matchup, right? So that means you are somebody. When it ain't fight, this wasn't fight night, right? This wasn't a fight night card. There was a pay-per-view card, right? Pay-per-view points and all that. So Pico coming out the gate, I don't know if he got pay-per-view points. I can't find that. But normally you should, right? So you gave pay-per-view points or whatever kind of deal you structured that was pretty daggone good for you to get the co-main, right? Means you're that guy. That means we pick you. It wasn't I have to do it. We didn't have no choice. We threw it together at the last minute. No. Aaron was coming in for his first shot. Come to find out, Aaron had already been in the UFC, but his first fight got canceled. Okay. His first fight got canceled. But still, the co-main under DDP and Hamzat, right? That means you're gonna make it on that alone, money-wise. Right? So I'm gonna look up and see what they made, but I'm not sure. But man, damn. I don't know what to tell you. But it is what it is, man. Ain't nobody playing. Ain't nobody playing. That's all I'm telling you. Ain't nobody playing. Ain't nobody playing. Right? Be careful what you ask for, because you might just get it. If you thought you was the guy and you want to prove the world that you're the guy, right? I don't know if you did the research. I don't know if you was thinking about it. I didn't know you even care about it, right? But LaRon Murphy is a mother effing handful. He's a mother effing hand to the full, right? Another spinning elbow KO. So here's the funny part. I'm sure him and his whole crew had to know elbows was coming, because it just happened. It's like, hey man, watch out for them elbows, man. Apparently they hitting their mark, right? 2 back-to-back elbows in the first round. Got to be some kind of, I don't know if somebody could have bet for that, but if they could have, that would have been something. To bet 2 elbows in back-to-back fights, in the feature and the co-main, elbow drops in the first round. I'm sure somebody would have made a ass of mother effing money. But I don't know. But all I know, it was pretty daggone cool. It was pretty daggone cool. It was pretty daggone cool. Shout out to freaking not only Jeff Neal and Carlos Praise. Shout out to Carlos for doing your daggone thing. You are a monster. You are as advertised, rightly so. You finishing jokers, right? Shout out to Leon Murphy for proving that you're the guy and you deserve to be there. And you not trying to hear none of it, right? You ain't gonna make a name off me. Literally, that's what was going on in my book. That they were literally trying to make a name off of Leron Murphy and give it all to Aaron Pico. Leron had momentum. 6-fight win streak, dominating most of his fights, a lot of it by finishes. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of hype. Hype is currency in the UFC. Hype is currency. The more hype you got, the more currency you got. If somebody can take you out in spectacular fashion, all that hype and currency go to you. All right? Since it was Aaron Pico's debut, even though this is supposed to be his second fight in the UFC, first one got canceled. So we get it, it's still your debut. Right? Whatever fan base you got in the outside doesn't translate on your first fight in the UFC. It just doesn't, unless you were a megastar. Now maybe you're a megastar. I knew who he was. I've seen him fight before, right? So it ain't like I didn't know him, but I wasn't megastar status. Then I saw his record like 14 and 4 or whatever it is, right? Right. So it's not like he got like a stellar, like killer record, right? His fight record is 13 and 5. Right? What you talking about? That ain't world beater. Well, now it's 13 and 5. It was 13 and 4. Right? That's not world beater status. That's not okay, this guy gonna get it done no matter what. That ain't that. That's not that at all. So I don't get what they're talking about. I don't get what they're talking about. So, but I ain't gonna lie, it's not gonna say that Aaron had some very good body shots. He was aggressive, moved forward. He knew how to pick his shots. He looked good for the sport. As a handsome joker now. He checks all the boxes, right? Until a spinning elbow can connect with you and put you to goddamn sleep. I was like, shit. All right. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be mother effing crazy. So, but welcome to the fight game, people. Welcome to the mother effing fight game. Just cause you think you know what's going on, that don't mean you do, right? You still got to deliver the fight. All right, if you liking what I'm doing, follow me, because I said, hey, I'm doing a double stream. Follow me, man, if you like what I'm doing. Let me know I'm doing a good job. If any questions you want to ask, follow me. I'm over here on Kick, and I'm over here on YouTube. Just follow me. Hey, let me know what you think. Let me know what I can do different. Let me know what you can add on. If you got any questions, I'll put it in the next podcast. I'm going to be doing this on a regular basis. Getting back to my live streaming so I can get all these numbers and stuff back in order. Like, subscribe, and share, and comment. You know how they do in this game, right? Got some work to do. I got a lot of stuff to do. A lot of stuff to do, people, right? Coach D is becoming an international guy. I'm building my brand on a regular basis, right? So I'm pretty proud of what I'm doing. But that don't mean ain't a lot of daggone work. My old ass, I be struggling. So it is what it is. So now, let's get to it, right? Let's get to it. The main event. The main mother effing event, right? Fans were calling this fight boring, right? Fights, people were booing in their audience, right? And for the life of me, I don't understand, right? Well, no, I do. I do. And the UFC has branded themselves on, you know, if you ain't knocking them out, if you ain't submitting them, right? If you ain't trying to die in the cage, you ain't shit, right? I ain't gonna pay you unless you deliver a something spectacular of a finish, something spectacular of a knockout, something spectacular of spectacular, whatever, a pure destruction. See, I'm getting late in the game. A pure destruction, right? All the hype leading up to this fight, all the hype leading up to this fight was is Hamza didn't have a gas tank. He had COVID lungs. His best round is the first round. After that, it's up for grabs. If you're somebody like DDP, right? Even though he's 14-0 undefeated, he's beat up everybody he's competed and he's submitted what 12 out of 14 opponents. 12 out of 14 opponents he submitted. He stopped, right? How many people can say that? How many people can say that? Not a lot, right? But that's what everybody was going with. That only thing DDP had to do was weather the first storm, first round. That's all he had to do. That's why I put he only had one job. He had to weather the storm, right? And then it was supposed to go his way, right? It was supposed to be stand-up fight. It was supposed to be, a dog, a brawl, a dog bloody fight. Who got the better gas tank? Who got the will to win? Yada yada yada, man. Yada yada yada. The amount I got so mad at one of my homeboys, right? Right. The first thing out his fight was boring fight, right? I was like, come on, man. The fight wasn't boring, right? It was boring if only thing you are is a action junkie, which means you're not following the fight. You're not following the fighters, right? You're not following how they got to where they are right now. You're not following either one of their stories. You just care about what's happening that night. You don't know what makes this a good fight, right? Me as a podcaster, I don't mind. I would talk shit with the best of them, right? I enjoy talking shit with everybody, right? But I appreciate the sport mainly because I deal with MMA from the youth level, amateur level, up to the pro level on the international stage. I've seen fighters compete from all around the world. Kyrgyzstan, Dagestan, Ukraine, Russia, you name it. I've seen them fight. Fighters from other countries are monsters now. Winning is a pride thing. Being good at mixed martial arts is a pride thing. It ain't just about money. Kamzat never said, I'm just here for the belt. He said, I want to provide a life for my family, right? And he meant it. He meant it, right? He goes, I'm not going to sit here and say that me having the belt is not important. It is, right? But being able to do what I need to do for my family is more so important, right? And I try to watch as much story on what fighters thought just about everybody. I'm not gonna say everybody. So many top level fighters who've been in the game for a while had DDP. I was like, based off what? I was like, what do they see in DDP that makes you think that he's gonna be able to get this fight with no problem? I ain't gonna say, they were primarily saying get out the first round. Maybe the second round. But after that, third and fourth, you got it. Definitely by the fifth, you got it. That's what everybody was saying. They really believed that Hamzat couldn't make any adjustments, right? That he was just dominant. What you saying? Because of lesser fighters? Why is Hamzat so dominant, right? Did he have challenges against freaking Usman and Burns? Right? He had some hiccups, slow movement. They was able to connect, but he still beat him. So what are you saying? You can only go by what the guy is doing. He has finished 12 of his 14 fights. Talking about Hamzat. Finished 12 of his 14 opponents. A lot of them top tier. Right? What are you saying? So now let's look at DDP. DDP has beat a lot of good fighters. That don't mean he's beat the roster of fighters. He beat a lot of good fighters. That's how he got the belt. Strickland, you know what I'm saying? Izzy, right? He beat top guys. But he's a big guy. Got a good gas tank, but he ain't sharp with his strikes. He's not sharp with his kicks. He got that wild man kung fu going, right? And everybody was going, that's enough to win against Hamzat. I was like, are you kidding me? Right? You just wanted to see a brawl. And I don't get it. I mean, I get it because a brawl looked like that was going to happen. On paper, dogfight. If you look at their styles, on paper, dogfight. So when Chael Sonnen was talking to DC, Daniel Cormier, about Hamzat, and he was able to get a behind-the-scenes look at Hamzat's training, right? They didn't train no fighting. All they trained was endurance. That means Hamzat's fighting style was already enough to beat DDP. They weren't worrying about how he was going to fight DDP. Not at all. They just wanted to make sure he had enough tank to fight all 5 rounds in the style in which he fights, which is aggressive and dominant and on your ass. I'm a fan of pushing the pace. If I'm a coach, my training style is you make that mother effer you're fighting, fight you with all they got to get you off them. If you can't get a mother effer off you, you are going to lose. I say it over and over again. It's not Hamzat's job to stop wrestling. It's DDP's job to stop Hamzat from wrestling. That was the problem. DDP couldn't stop Hamzat. It's not Hamzat's fault that DDP can't wrestle. Why would I make this more difficult for myself as a fighter? It makes no sense. No sense. Calling it boring, calling it laying and praying, right? We saying Hamzat was being lazy. That's what they were saying. Hamzat was being lazy for not going for submissions, not going for aggressive ground and pound or whatever they wanted to say. He didn't have to. That was DDP's job to stop Hamzat from doing what he was doing. Period. But DDP couldn't do it. DDP had one job in this fight. One. That was to keep the fight standing. Right? Defend the takedown. Or get back to your feet and get back to how you wanted to fight. Which was standing. Right? What everybody wants to overlook and disregard over and over and over and over again. Every round starts on the feet. DDP had every round to make adjustments, right? After the first round, he said, hey, I got to keep my distance, throw my shots, get in and get out, whatever he should have thought from him and his coaches. Every fight started on the feet. So there was no excuse for DDP not to be able to make an adjustment against the takedown. Hamzat had one job. Take him down, control him, dominate him, right? And wear him down and get him up out of there. That was his whole strategy. What does that say about DDP and his coaches? That Hamzat only had one strategy that he was going to use against DDP to beat him, right? My last post when I said freaking Hamzat is going to make an example of DDP, that is exactly what he did. He used one technique in mixed martial arts to beat DDP. And DDP couldn't do nothing about it. But you want to blame Hamzat, right? Hamzat is the one that gave you a boring fight. Not DDP. Nobody was saying, all right, DDP didn't do nothing. I blame DDP for this. Only a couple of people said that, right? DDP was outclassed with grappling, right? Grappling. Hamzat made a point to show just how far apart they were, right? Freaking, what was DDP's claim to fame? That I'm a dog, can't nobody stop my aggressiveness. I got a gas. That's what all the other people, that's what all the fighters were saying. That DDP got gas for days. He can go ahead and push the pace, right? After the first round, Hamzat's going to wilter. There's going to be all DDP. That's all they were saying. That's why they were like, that was like, Hamzat can't go the distance, right? But it took one proper training camp to get his cardio where it needs to be to change all that. So what does it say about all the fighters who was watching the build up to this, right? Who knows what Hamzat is capable of doing, right? Who he was training with, freaking Chael Sonnen said the camp he was with an elite, coach. I can't remember the coach's name, right? So Hamzat did his job. Hamzat had to fix one thing, which was his cardio. That's all he had to fix, right? What was DDP's job? What was DDP's job to fix? How to defend the takedown, how to get back to your feet, right? How to, get in and get out, better foot movement, right? Avoid clinches, right? Keep the fight in the middle. There was a list of things that I just mentioned that DDP could have done. Guess what? He couldn't do none of them. So DDP failed at his job as the champion to properly prepare for Hamzat, right? Hamzat, watch. I'm just going to take the guy down. Dominate him, control him, right? Then crucifix them over and over and over and over again. Do you understand, right, how demoralizing a crucifix is? I come from wrestling too, and I got put in a crucifix in mother effing Paris, France against a fellow Marine, right, who was shorter than me. I thought I was bigger than him. I thought I could take him. He wrestled like I wrestled, but he wrestled way better than me. That mother effer took me down on the grass, put me in a crucifix, and ate my ass up. I couldn't do shit about it. So I got personal experience of how much a crucifix sucks, right? But to get into it at that level should be extremely hard to do. At DDP's level of being a top tier fighter, right? We are so finicky in America about good fighting. Like, MMA Guru was calling the fight a disgrace and all that kind of good stuff, right? But none of that was for DDP. Everybody else was calling Hamzat the poor fighter, right? Not DDP. So what did DDP do wrong? Can anybody tell me? What did he do wrong? The only thing DDP did was that I was impressed by was he was able to avoid Hamzat getting his hooks in. He was able to get his leg out from Hamzat from getting his hooks in. I was like, okay, that's pretty daggone good. I need to pay attention to that. That's a pretty good thing to have nailed in your arsenal, is to avoid the hooks when a fighter is on your back. I was like, okay, that's pretty daggone good, right? Notorious, what up, man? Okay, yeah. So, hey, thank you for subscribing in. So you're saying the fight. So now I got my first guy coming in and talking to the trap, man. Hey, I appreciate it, man. I haven't gone live in a while, but thank you. So you're gonna be the guinea pig of all the crap I'm getting ready to talk. So Notorious Vet, what made this fight so boring, right? What was boring about it? And then who was the fighter that made it boring? That's the question I want. Who made the fight boring, right? DDP didn't do his job as the champion. That's what I'm saying, right? Why does Hamzat got to change his game for somebody who can't wrestle? Why would he? Right? All he had to do was like, he can't stop my takedown. Why am I going to risk getting hurt? Why I'm going to risk taking shots, right? I'm going to get out clean and make all this money and get the belt. Why do I got to work hard for somebody who can't stop a takedown? As a champion, as somebody with wrestling talent, a big fighter, an aggressive fighter, a dog, as everybody said it, right? All these things he's supposed to have as the champion, right? We have to stop not giving fighters what they're supposed to do if they're champions. We give them so many passes. All right, let me see what Notorious is saying. Well, like I said, what if that was his game plan, Notorious? What if his playing plan was to knock him, take him down, and embarrass him? My previous post was Hamzat was going to make an example out of DDP, and that's what he did, right? Maybe he didn't care about submissions. Maybe he didn't care about any of that but embarrassing DDP to show him that he was nowhere on my level. A crucifix over and over and over again, right? To a high-level belt holder, the champion who was on a 14-fight win streak or some crap like that, right? Who was bulldozing everybody else, being dominant, being aggressive, overwhelming somebody. That's opposed to a guy that shouldn't be in a crucifix, but he was. That's a guy that should be able to get off the mat and back to his feet to make it a standing fight, but he couldn't, right? That's a guy that got taken down 12 out of 14 times, right? That ain't supposed to happen to a high-level champion, but it did, right? Everything DDP was supposed to do as a champion, he couldn't do it. Every round started on its feet, is what I've been saying the whole time. The fight started, when the bell rung for the next round, the two fighters stayed standing. DDP made no adjustments. No adjustments when they started on their feet. So who's the one that made the mistakes? DDP or Hamzat? Hamzat didn't make any mistakes. He went right back to what he was supposed to do. All right, Notorious, what are you saying? At the end of the day, okay. All right, you need to market. No, you don't. You don't need to market to the fans. You need to market a fight. That's all they did. They market what Hamzat was supposed to do, and they marketed what DDP was supposed to do. That's it, right? Catering to fans is why fighters get hurt, a la freaking Bo Nichols. Bo Nichols is a wrestler that wanted to be a stand-up fighter, right? He wanted to knock fighters out and submit them. So the UFC fed him all these stand-up fighters that had no takedown defense, right? Or Bo was just a bigger, faster fighter. So everybody Bo was beating. So now Bo bought into the hype of being a knockout artist. Hey, I can knock out everybody. I want Hamzat. Even he called out Hamzat, right? Right? So what happened? He finally got a good fighter that was well-rounded in DBD, whatever his name is, from one championship. That was a two-belt champion, right? And Bo got stopped. Couldn't take body shots, right? All the stuff that you should be able to do as a well-rounded fighter, Bo couldn't do. And Bo got his ass whooped. Bo got stopped. All the hype that Bo had, gone. DDP, the least he can do was stop a takedown. Couldn't do it. All right? Entertaining is relevant to what you think the fighters can do. The fans thought it was gonna be a dogfight. It's not. It wasn't on DDP or Hamzat, right? Hamzat did what he was supposed to do. DDP didn't, right? That's the entertainment part. Hamzat was able to overwhelm a champion who's supposed to be bigger, stronger, more heart, more. That's the entertaining story that was sold to the fans. DDP didn't do his job. So why is everybody blaming Hamzat? Why aren't you blaming DDP for being a poor wrestler? I can go with that. Say DDP made the fight boring, not Hamzat. If DDP would have stopped the takedown and made it a stand-up fight to where Hamzat had to fight standing, throw more kicks, throw more strikes, it'd have been a whole different fight. But DDP couldn't do that. So what happened? Got taken back down. And gorilla fucked, like everybody was saying, crotch sniffing, like everybody was saying. All right. Like, I don't know why I was buffering like that for a quick second. Right? So that's the whole point. You can't blame a fighter for keeping a winning strategy. You got to blame the fighter that couldn't stop that strategy, right? So boring is neither fighter doing anything, right? Hamzat did his job. Does he have to attempt submissions? Let's be real. Does he have to? Does he have to ground and pound? He don't have to. If and we're assuming that DDP wasn't defending these things. He was defending the rear naked choke. He was hand fighting Hamzat. Hamzat couldn't get it. If he would have got it, he would have got it. He couldn't get it. DDP was good enough to do that, but DDP wasn't good enough to get off the mat. DDP wasn't good enough to keep the fight standing, right? DDP wasn't good enough to do any of the things he should have done as a champion. Period. So now, I feel you. Right. Saying a UFC won't survive is a lot more than just one fight, It's a lot more than that, right? To me, I think it was a great fight. Notorious, to be straight up with you, thank you for chiming in. I appreciate it, man. I haven't gone live in a while. Hey, like my stuff, and keep doing the comments, right? Bottom line, right? If you want great fights, you got to make great matchups, right? We got rid of the rankings for a long time, right? Fighters with losing records can still get title shots. Fighting with losing records can still get main event and co-main event slots, right? We all knew what Hamzat can do. We all knew that, right? What was DDP's job? That's all I'm saying, right? Boring or not, we knew what Hamzat was going to do. He's been saying it the whole time. Only thing Hamzat going to do is wrestle. That's all he's going to do, right? He'll go for the takedown and dog walk whoever he gets on the ground, right? That's what he did. He embarrassed DDP. Maybe that was his strategy. Maybe that was his job. But whose fault is it? It's DDP's, man. It all comes down to what can you do to stop the fighter from doing what he's doing. Look at Khabib. Khabib did the same thing. Took you down, grounded pound. Yeah, he got submissions, and he got submissions at random. I get you that. Hold on, let me see what you're saying. All right, burn fighters like Lima, Pera, Sean Mel, okay. Aspinall because of the KOs. All right, yeah. As long as you can keep it up, all right. Where's Sean O'Malley now? Sean O'Malley got beat by a wrestler, got out-wrestled, and got stopped, right? What happened to Sean O'Malley's skills? Gone. Sean O'Malley is, I don't even care for Sean O'Malley to be on this list. Now, you can be a star knocking fighters out. I get it, right? We want exciting knockouts. We come from boxing. Of course, we want the spectacular knockout. Of course, we want the spectacular submission, right? But all our fighters that are champions now come from Dagestan, all these grappling-based countries, right? Look at Il Dapora, got great knockouts, but he's supposed to have a high-level grappling pedigree. He didn't have to use it. I get it, right? But sooner or later, he's going to meet a high-level grappler, then what, right? So, yeah, we can say the fight was boring, right? But that's not Hamzat's fault. He don't have to stay standing up if he don't have to, right? He don't have to make it a dog fight especially not if he don't have to, if he don't need to. He didn't need to stand up and bang with DDP. DDP needed to keep the fight standing. That was the problem of the boring fight. DDP could not keep the fight standing. It started on their feet every round. Every round. DDP, if you want to say the fight was boring, DDP made it boring. So, okay, let's call it boring. Right? Let's call it a boring fight. Whose fault is it? Right? That's the question. Let me see. Okay, but yeah. But now, Hamzat still controlled his gas tank, didn't burn himself out, right? And DDP did a good job at defending these things. That don't mean Hamzat's going to take risks he don't have to take. Hamzat didn't have to take. So he did go for submissions against the cage at some points. He didn't a lot, but he did, right? Assuming that was his objective. Assuming it was a submission or KO that he was looking to do. Maybe he just want to embarrass DDP. Maybe that's that's the only thing he wanted to do. Was embarrass him for 5 rounds. Right? So if that's what his job was, what was DDP's job? To stop it, right? DDP didn't stop any of it. So the fault lies on DDP as the champion. Right? It still goes back to why it had nothing to do with if the fight was boring. The question was why. Right? You're saying Hamzat didn't do it enough submission attempts. Didn't go for, the knockout or whatever you want to say. Right? He got 3, 4 crucifixes. That in itself is a level of submission. To get a guy so secure that he can't do anything about the position he's in, right? And take shots. 500 shots. They weren't significant shots. 500 shots to your head and body and blah, blah, blah throughout the whole fight. 500. Somebody was able to land 500 shots to your body and you couldn't do anything about any of it. That in itself is bad enough. No, like I said, don't get me wrong. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, right? But the job is still to win. Nobody questions how freaking Khabib won his fights. He won a lot of his fights on the ground. He dominated a lot of his fights. He don't got high level KO and submission record. Most of them are unanimous decisions. To the end of the fight. But nobody's saying that he wasn't a great fighter. He was, right? Most of Hamzat's fights have been through finishes. Hamzat has finished the majority of his opponents. He couldn't finish DDP. Once he realized he couldn't get what he wanted, he disregarded that and did something else. That's all. That's really all it was. What did DDP do? Nothing. That's it. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it's a boring fight. Because the story was on money, right? Everybody was saying if DDP gets past the first round, he can win. That was the story. Hamzat don't have the proper gas tank. Hamzat is not going to be able to do this, that, and the other, right? But at the end of the day, Hamzat proved everybody wrong. So many people had DDP to win. I didn't. But so many people had DDP to win. I would say. I get it. But you still got to be in a position to do it. DDP is a big dude, right? A mistake gets you fucked up. You see, he was still able to take down Hamzat in the 5th round, right? He was able to finally slip out of Hamzat's grip and was able to get DDP was able to slip out of Hamzat's grip, able to get Hamzat down and got top control. He couldn't keep it, right? But he got it, right? I don't expect any fighter to try to please the fans at the cost of losing the fight. I don't believe in that. I believe you win how you win, right? If you could take a fighter down and submit him, take him down and submit him. If you can ground and pound him, to the ref pulls you off, do that. If you got to dominate a bigger fighter and keep him from doing anything else, do that. Hamzat did what he needed to do to win, right? DD didn't do what he needed to do to win, right? If that would make the fight boring, so be it. But it's not Hamzat's fault, is all I'm saying. Let me see what you got. Okay, two fighters who aren't good is a boring fight, right? If you're not good and you don't know how to do what you need to do, it's a boring fight. But when you got fighters at the highest of the levels, right? DDP is a champion. Hamzat is undefeated. There's two at the highest of the sport. Why couldn't DDP do a better job? Right? Let's start there. Why couldn't DDP do a better job at stopping freaking Hamzat? Right? It's simple. You don't, like I said, you don't know where the fight's gonna go. Aldo, was long in the tooth, right? He was kind of, on the other side of this fight. But when he was prime, you couldn't do a lot with him. Do you know how hard it was to take Aldo down in his prime? You couldn't do it. So Aldo was the best anti-wrestler out there in his prime. It was damn near impossible to take Aldo down. So he kept the fight standing, and he was able to impose his will on his opponents. That's what made it good, right? GSP was able to take down anybody. He didn't even have any wrestling skills, right? So you're making good points to anti-wrestling, right? If you're not an anti-wrestler, you are going to get dominated and controlled with no risk to the opponent. Hamzat took no risks, took no damage, and that was his strategy. Boring or not, it was DDP's job to stop Hamzat from doing what he was doing, and DDP couldn't do it. That's what made the fight exciting. To me, that's what made the fight exciting. He had 4 10-8 rounds. 4 10-8 rounds. That's supposed to be impossible to somebody like DDP. It's supposed to be unheard of. If we didn't watch the fight, okay, Notorious, if you didn't watch the fight and you heard somebody said, hey, did you know Hamzat got 4 10-8 rounds against DDP? You wouldn't believe it. Because DDP was on a 14-fight win streak. He was dominating everybody. He was a big dude. He was powerful. He had gas tank for days, right? Hearing that Hamzat got 4 10-8 rounds is supposed to be impossible. That's exciting to me, right? The fact that Hamzat can take DDP down at will, that was exciting to me. The fact that Hamzat can get, 3 or 4 crucifixes on somebody's level of DDP, that's exciting to me. It's what you find exciting. Some stuff was boring. Against the cage, nothing really happening but the knees to the booty. Yeah, that was boring. But the totality of the fight wasn't, of how Hamzat was able to do what he was able to do and how DDP couldn't do nothing about it is exciting to me, right? Somebody who's supposed to be an elite champion like DDP. That's what I'm looking at, is how in the hell could DDP not stop Hamzat? That's it. That is my whole argument, right? And don't get me wrong, yeah, I'm using you as an example, but you're the only one hanging out with me, man, which I absolutely appreciate, man. I absolutely appreciate it. So I'm using you as an example to make the point. I'm not even calling you a casual fan because you seem to know what you're talking about. You're making great points. You're making great points. Well, I mean, strikers got already an advantage. If Hamzat takes down DDP, right, and holds him down for a couple of minutes, right, which means he got riding control, he got riding points. DDP gets up and cracks Hamzat. DDP cracks Hamzat. DDP wins that exchange. Striking has more value than takedowns. Striking has more value than riding points, right? One good shot on your feet nullifies all the takedowns, right? That's all DDP had to do was get back to his feet and crack Hamza one or two good times. He's now winning that round. He couldn't do it. You see what I'm saying? All the nuances that you're making points about, that's what makes a fight, right? We all know that fighters suck at winning rounds, right? One of the big things when you watch a fight, we go, who won and who lost, and you thought a fighter that should have won ended up losing because it went to the judges, right? And the judges saw one thing versus another, right? I actually had to go take an ABC course because I was getting the arguments that me and you are talking about now, but I was getting arguments. I was like, man, F you. I was talking all kind of shit because I thought fighter A won against fighter B, right? But I was wrong on so many levels because I didn't know what wins a round. I didn't know what actually won that round. So I had to go take an ABC course, the same course that, all you guys you see reffing in the cage right now that you saw over the weekend, they take an ABC course, right, for reffing. I spent my money and took that course. I passed it. I actually could have became a ref. I didn't care. I wanted the knowledge. And they broke it down. He goes, against ride time and strikes and damage, that wins overall. A knockdown wins. A shot that changes the pace of the fight wins. So Hamza could control DDP for half the round. If it gets back to the feet and DDP catches Hamza with a strike and knocks him down, round goes to DDP. That's how much it doesn't matter for ride time and all that. It's just DDP couldn't do anything else about any of it. It's the point. What you got? Yeah, he's a very good aggressive fighter, but we acting like DDP is a chump. We acting like DDP couldn't. I mean, Hamza he could not sink his legs in, right, at all. DDP was able to block every attempt for Hamza to sink his feet in, right, to go for submission. He blocked it all. That was the most impressive part about DDP. That, right, Hamza could not get his hooks in. No matter what Hamza did, he could not get his hooks in. I was like, holy shit. Okay, DDP ain't no slouch. He may be getting dominated, but he has enough wherewithal to protect his neck and protect the hooks, right? He couldn't do shit else, right? But that showed me that he had self-awareness. He had ring awareness. He knew what Hamza was trying to do, and he defended it. That's why you couldn't get a lot of choke attempts. That's why you couldn't get Hamza getting his hooks in, right? So the only thing he could do is wrestle and dominate and throw knees to the booty because he couldn't do much else. That doesn't necessarily make it boring. That make DDP didn't have any other answers. You see, it still goes back to DDP, no matter how you want to look at it. Why are you gonna blow my arms out trying to go for submissions when DDP was obviously good at defending them? I'd rather sit here and throw body shots, right, and win the round. Fighters don't know how to win the round because we've bought into knockouts and submissions. I'm sure Dana White goes, if you want to win this bonus, you better put on a hell of a fight. Yeah, that means fighters would do what they wouldn't normally do, and they get knocked the F out or beat up bad or get damaged or whatever because they're doing something they don't normally do. Hamza knew that he can take down Chimaev at will and control him on the ground, and that's what he did. DDP knew that was coming, and it was his job to do something different, and he didn't do it. So it's boring based off what again? When every round stands up on the feet, every round had a chance to change. Every round. After the first round, every round from that point on had a chance to change because it started on their feet. DDP couldn't do anything. He could have had better foot movement. He could have got in the way. He could have been the aggressor and stop letting Hamza be the aggressor, right? There's so many ways you can spin this around, but it didn't happen. DDP did not do his job, is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And granted, I get it. Entertainment factor is it wasn't a barn burner. Yeah, okay, yeah, I can say that. I'm not gonna call it boring. I'm not gonna say it was a barn burner. It was a display of dominance. When another man can dominate another man to disagree, when we're all primal animals, you gotta respect the hierarchy, right? Hamza is the alpha male. He dominated another male. Who is the king of the cage? Who is the king of the pit? Who's the king of the jungle? Who's the leader of men? It was Hamza. That's what I'm saying, right? DDP is another grown man that's considered himself a pro and was the champion. It was his job to know what he needed to do to keep the belt, and he couldn't do none of it. That is all I am saying. That is all I'm saying, man. Right? I get it. As a fan, we're action junkies. All we want is nonstop action. But at some point, we got to see what the skill looks like. No, I think knees to grounded opponents should be legal. I think you should be able to knee to the head. One championship lets you knee to the head on the ground, right? Because at the end of the day, it still is a fight. No matter how we look at it, it's still a fight, right? Right? Somebody can get effed up at any point, right? It's a fight. So it ain't no fighter's job to hold back. It ain't no fighter's job to not do what he needs to do to win. It is not the fighter's job to give his opponent a chance to do shit. Right? It's what advantage you can take of when the chance presents itself. Right? The chance for DDP to change that fight started at the beginning of the round every time. That's it. That's the number one thing everybody has to really take account of. Whatever you want to say Hamzat did about always going for the takedown, laying and praying, not going for submissions, whatever you want to say, fine. But that happened in the round, right? It happened in the round. After the round was over, it started back over. So DDP had a chance to do something different each round. And he couldn't do anything. He got the same thing happen to him round after round after round, to the point it was a 10-8 round. A 10-8 round is supposed to be impossible in today's landscape. That means if you get a 10-8 round, that means your opponent is not good at all, is what we're saying. What you got? It is a damage-based sport. You're correct. Damage wins. You are 100% correct. Damage wins. Right? So if you're still looking for, it's mixed martial arts. You're right. Everybody got so many tools to win. From kicks, knees, elbows, strikes, right? Then it comes down to significant strikes. What shots do the most damage? Impacts, takedowns, blah, blah, blah. All right, which question? Yeah, you're right. He didn't do that much damage, but he didn't need to. All he needed to do was continue to strike, control. It's called winning. It's called winning a round. Okay, so let me. This is my knowledge. This is what I've learned. Okay, at the end of the day, the fighter still has to win the round in judges' eyes to stop getting fights stood back up. So Hamzat knew that all he had to do was have to keep laying down strikes and the ref won't stand them up. Inactivity gets the fight stood back up. So even though they weren't significant strikes, even though they weren't high level damage, there were consistent strikes to the opponent, which means the ref can't stop it and stand it up. That's what that means. How I learned it. Well, it's 10-8 compared to everything else, which means 21 minute 21 minutes of ride time is unheard of. It's crazy to hear at the main event level. Prelims, whatever. You know, early fights, whatever. At the main event, you're not supposed to be able to ride a champion for 21 minutes. You're just not, right? And damage is control. At the end of the day, Hamzat was able to control DDP and land shots at will. That's why it's a 10-8. Because DDP was unable to prevent Hamzat from doing any of that damage. Even though it wasn't a lot, it was enough to win the round at that level. Top 5 fighters to watch, right? Tomorrow currently, shit, let me see. Demetrius Johnson. I do like John Jones. Who else? Il Tapora. I like him. Max Holloway. Dustin Poirier. Who else? All right, my mind going blank. Who's the guy that's supposed to be fighting Lauren Murphy next? That was talking about the next shot. He just lost the belts to Islam. He just got the belt back. God damn it, my mind going blank, man. He just won the belt back. Sorry, man, my mind's going blank. It's late. I'm old. So, but yeah, Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, just to name a few. I like. Don't get me wrong. Volkanovski. There you go. I like striking fighters. To me, Volkanovski is one of the best to ever do it. If I had to put somebody in a GOAT status, it's Volk. What he can do against fighters that he should not be to do what he does to is amazing. But don't get me wrong. I want stand-up fighting. I want kicks, knees, body shots. I want KOs. I want all that, right? But I also like a fighter's ability to nullify what another fighter is doing. That's, to me, is an elite fighter. If I could stop you from doing anything against me to where I take no damage, that's an elite fighter, right? DDP was not supposed to have done to him what he had done to him. It's the whole argument, right, of exciting versus not exciting, right? We want violence, right? How does violence happen? Violence happens when two fighters can nullify the other people's things to make violence happen. If DDP could have kept the fight standing, more violence would have happened. If DDP could prevent from being taken down, more violence would have happened, right? If DDP could have got back to his feet off the cage or whatever, more violence could have happened, right? He couldn't do it. It had nothing to do with Hamzat. Hamzat did, I'm just going to take you down and do this. It's DDP's job to stop it. He didn't do it. That is all I am saying when it comes to exciting and boring. It would have been a hell of a fight if DDP could do his job. That's it. DDP could not do his job. He had one job: avoid the takedown. That's it. I gotta. Let me look at the 185-pound division. Give me a second. Let me look this up, man. Hey, dude, I appreciate you hanging out with me, dude. I appreciate all this. I haven't done live streaming in a while, right? I wanted to get back to it, but let me see who we got in the 85-pound division that can give him a run. Let me see. Sorry, Sean Strickland, Israel, Rainer D. Ryder is supposed to be somebody that may be a problem. I doubt it, but in the 85-pound division, nobody, man, nobody that I can see. Alex Pereira may give him a chance size wise, but he don't got enough wrestling, right? I don't know who's going to come up to 185. They say Venom Page might be an interesting look, and a VP might give him an interesting look. He's not going to go that way, but Anthony Hernandez, okay, yeah, okay, I get you. All right, let me ask you, who do you think can beat Hamzat? Notorious, who do you think could beat Hamzat? Who you got? If it came down to it, who do you think could beat him? Right? Because it was supposed to be DDP. DDP was supposed to be the most dominant heavyweight out there currently, outside of Hamzat. Right? So who do you think? Give me your best guess. Give me your best guess. And that's the question. That's the question I'm going to pose in my next post. I'm gonna start doing a lot more lives. So you're gonna see me do a lot more lives on a regular basis, man. So I appreciate. I don't know what you're doing or what side of the country you're on, but I appreciate it, man. And you're asking great questions. You ain't pulling back no punches. You seem to know what you're talking about. And I'm gonna get back in the swing of things for this very thing, man. This very thing. All right. So yeah, hey, I appreciate it, man. But I said I'm gonna wrap this up. I've been doing an hour and 30 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But hey man, thank you for hanging out, dude. And yeah, I'm gonna come back on here probably tomorrow or something like that. So we're gonna talk some more. Let me see them. Who you got? Yeah, only a superior wrestler is gonna beat Hamzat to keep it on his feet. That's it. Without that, man, it ain't gonna happen. It simply ain't gonna happen. So it is what it is. All right, fight fans, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Thank Notorious for hanging out with me on my first live chat back. It's been a while, I haven't done it, but now I'm gonna get back in the game. So I got a lot more streaming to do. So bottom line, what made a boring fight? It is what it is, right? This is Coach D doing what I'm doing, calling it like I see it. To hear from me again, peace out.